Howdy folks, this morning soap, which is Sunday morning, is brought to us by Stubble Buster. And you can kind of see the scent profile there above. It says pineapple, cactus. What's that other one say? Oh, sandalwood. Anyway, this is the soap of the day. And that's what it looks like on the inside. I've already, scooped some out. It's a fairly soft soap. Very easy to scoop out. Might be borderline croak maybe. I think it's closer to a soap though. It's just a very soft, pliable soap. Very easy to push into a bowl. Probably if you were face lathering, probably wouldn't take much to get your brush loaded. Got Allen block, no rubber band this morning. Still got a little bit, yeah. I guess I got about a third of the container of the Stirling hazel mentholated. That's black ice flavored. And going to be following up with the matching aftershave there. And last time I checked their website, they still got that thing going on where if you get the soap and the aftershave, it's $17.48 plus shipping. I have it whipped up here with a boar brush that I got from the Shaven Sailor. This is a 3D printed brush handle. Thought that looked pretty cool. Change of pace, that's for sure. Fits right there in the hand, pretty nice. I like it. Got it whipped up a vanilla bowl, and it is a little on the wet side this morning. That's the way I like it. Shaver of the day. Don't shave with this one very much, and which made me think. Here it is. Should start out this way with it. This particular done. Now that I've got my what I'm calling an encyclopedia, now I'm able to hunt stuff down. It came in a case like this right here, and there's a picture of it in the book. And it came from a catalog that was dated in 1925, a wholesale catalog. And this is what the case looks on the inside. This one here, it's kind of questionable. This looks original. This, not so much. But at any rate, at least it looks pretty decent. You get your blade holder there. This one here has a old blade in there. It doesn't have a name on the spine, and it's still got the cardboard going around it. But it is not a modern day because it's got some weight behind it. It actually weighs a little bit. But anyway, this particular case like this was referred to as a sports set. It's kind of typical, it seems like, of some of the shavers, depending on what that shaver came in, to what kind of container, what kind of box or case is what it was referred to. The ones that you might be used to seeing, that is, got the I guess you might say a fabric or a canvas type flap with a snap on it. Excuse me. That one there I think was referred to as touring. Anyway, you kind of get the idea. The interesting thing about this particular shaver is that I am using a feather blade in it. This one here is a single edge without a spine, and it doesn't have the notches down towards the middle of the blade, nor does it have a notch in the center either. That's what I'm using in this shaver here. Hopefully, if I don't forget, I'll show you at the end of the video. But there it is, ever ready. It's got the patent date of March 24th of 1914. Thought that all was pretty cool. This is, as you can tell, that's a little bit different than your typical shaver because it opens up here. You have your stop hooks right down here, and there's two hooks here on the side. Those two hooks on the side is something to, I guess you might say, pay close attention to, because if you use your typical gym treat blade that's got the notches on the side, there's two hooks on each side that'll hold that blade in place. And believe it or not, those notches and those hooks line perfectly. So it's not going to hold it there with those notches. Just thought I'd point that out to you. I've tried it once before, and you can try it shaving with that, and you may or may not have the best of shaves. Just depends. I remember a lot of blade chatter last time I tried it with that's the one with the notches. This one here I tried yesterday, and it worked out pretty good. This is a Preshave soap from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. This one here is Ice. It's scentless, but it does have menthol in it. And I'm going to go ahead and re-wet my face here. We're going to get started with this. Already put a hot towel to the face this morning, and it was pretty warm. Matter of fact, things have, changed quite a bit since last weekend. What was it? One day we had, what was the high? It's still below freezing. The low was 20. The wind chill put it at 6. And for Oklahoma, that's pretty cold. Today, I think we're supposed to get up around 70 or something like that. It's going to get warm. It's the reason why I have such a hard time with my, guess you might say, my sinuses, allergies, or whatever else that causes my nose to go bananas. But this, been experimenting in between Preshave oil and Preshave soap, and I have, there is a difference, and it seems like I notice, you might notice it, for me, at least my experience with it, is I notice a difference, a little bit of a difference sometimes during the shave, but I notice it more so on the post-shave end, that the oil, believe it or not, actually seems to stick around to the end, and my post-shave feel seems to be different in a good way, that my face feels pretty soft, smooth, moisturized, not dried out, actually feels better with some soaps. It just depends on what you're using, especially if you're using a soap that's probably not the highest of quality. Not that it's bad soap, don't take that in a negative way. It's just, you know, when you get an inexpensive soap, you can't expect the upper end of the performance as goes for how your face may feel. Some soaps will make your face feel better. Not that that one was that bad, it's just there's one that was better. Hope that was clear as mud. But at any rate, go ahead and get lathered up here. It's been yesterday I had a good day. Yesterday was a good day. In other words, being able to take a moment and do some reading in the book. So in other words, watching videos here of late, it's been kind of tough because I guess you might say shifted my time that I normally would do something like that. I've shifted those priorities so I can spend time looking in this book that I got. It's a thick one. It is great. I really appreciate this book. That had to take a lot of effort to put that book together. A lot of fun too, I bet. I know I sure would have had fun with it. Digging up all that information, compiling it, and putting it together. There's a, I think I there it is, losing a bristle there. Piggy shedding. There's, some of you may have seen it. How I ran across it was by the way of Instagram. And Instagram for me, I've mentioned it before, it's easier to find, how can you say, new artisans, whether it's soap, or in this particular case it's a razor. And the name of this particular group is called Janus. That's Janus, and they have a website also. But at any rate, what they're trying to do is they're going to make a modern day toggle. And it's really, the vintage one, I mean, it's not that it doesn't pique my interest, but at that price point, it's, if I can find one very much on the cheap, you know, I will get one. But I don't see that happening, so I don't really pay that much attention to a Gillette toggle. And I don't know what the price range is going to be on this group's modern day spin of the toggle, but still very much interested to see how that one turns out. And from what I understand, I think they've identified some testers, and I think either they have sent it out or they're going to send out some, I guess you might say, prototypes to the testers to see what the feedback is. But for me, I think it's pretty awesome that somebody's tackling it, going to give a shot. And I have no idea what the price point is. I have not heard anything on it. There's some feedback with this shaver. Now with this particular blade, which is, I find kind of odd, if you know how to strop it, all that sort of thing, you'll get some more shaves out of it. At least that's what I'm assuming. I usually 2 shaves, and it's about as far as I go with these. Back when I first tried these in the 1 blade core, third shave was not too terribly smooth, so I only stick with the 2 shaves. I mean, if I really want to, in other words, I can get that third shave and be okay, but when you got plenty of blades. I should say that these, my hands are wet now. This box is slippery. You can get these blades at Maggart's. I think this is a box of 10, and I think you can get them for about $7. Not too terribly bad. I guess it depends on how you look at it, but for instance, I was in CVS yesterday, and in CVS, oh, I should say, I think Preshave will work better with this shaver. I was in CVS, you know, pricing their stuff again. If you get a box of their single edge blades and their Gem, Persona, anyhow, the parent company's name nowadays is Accutech, and you can tell on the container, flip it around to the not the clear side, but the other end, and you see Accutech on there, Persona, Gem, if you will, and those blades are selling, at least at CVS I went to, is $4.99, and so you can go in the store and get some, and their double edges are a bit more expensive than what I would pay for. But if I was traveling, hopefully they would, the CVS nearby would have them, and I would pay the price, because those blades come from Israel, Persona, and I guess you might say I would trust them. Don't want a bad shave while you're traveling, just depending on how you're traveling. Speaking of that sort of thing, working up to, that was in the past one, it went pretty well. There's a lot of feedback on that one, but I could tell that this blade is, it's not only shaved with it once yesterday and then today, so that's one thing bad about these blades, at least in my opinion. My experience has been that they don't really last too terribly long, so it just depends on what you want to do. Enjoying shaving with this one. Yesterday's was so smooth, and oh, it was great. I enjoy the shaver. But anyway, today being Sunday, February, and today is commonly referred to as Super Bowl Sunday. And for some, it's a very exciting day. Everybody's, you know, worked up their festivities for the day, what they're going to be snacking on, eating, drinking, before the game, during the game, and after the game. Maybe more so after the game, depends if their team lost. It just depends, huh? At any rate, for some people it's also probably a very sad day, because then they're going to be without some NFL football. I don't keep up with the NFL football quite like a lot of others do. I think I've only watched, I know at least one full game, possibly two. Most of the time, because we're busy, you know, life, we got to go here, got to get this, got to do that, and so I catch usually the Chiefs game on the radio as much as I can. But in other words, I miss a lot of the games, so I don't follow it that close. But there's a new, you may have heard of it. It's you know, a while back the XFL made a run of, you know, having a startup football league. And there's a new one that's going to be starting, if I remember right, February 9th. In other words, they've already selected team members, reduced the roster down to 52. Some of the same rules that you see in the NFL will be in this league, and it's called the Allegiance of American Football. And it's just a startup, so in other words, your expectations should be accordingly. They have 8 teams. If I remember right, it's 8 teams. And they do have a website, which the website, I guess you might, is in its infant stages. It's just starting out. And matter of fact, on that website, if you look deep enough, they're still hiring a lot of people, it looks like. But at any rate, it shows you, you know, where the players are coming from. In other words, what college or what pro team, what NFL team they may have played on. And so you got a mix of players. Some just still, you know, they're out of college but didn't make the draft or got cut from an NFL team, so they're, you know, still trying to get their, you know, career further on down the road. And some others, you know, wasn't quite ready for it to end. And so you got a mixture of players and whatnot, and kind of excited to see how that one when there pans out. Try to, I guess you might say, hopefully I'll be able to, if I can't catch it on TV, which I think CBS is going to be carrying some of their games, see if I can't catch, find a radio station that's got it. Hopefully there's a radio station. I have not seen anything saying that it's going to be on the radio, so I'll keep on looking to see if I can't find something a little off topic of shaving. But the what also brought this up is from time to time my wife and we have talked about this, and this one here I thought might be the opportunity. Is there's a team down in San Antonio, and I just threw it out to her, and then kind of plant the seed, in other words, and it worked well. I think I approached it right this time. Last time I mentioned something like this, it didn't go over well at all. This time I approached it differently, and I think it went over well. Anyhow, the idea was that, you know, we would go to one of the games, and of course, you know, her, and she doesn't do well with the cold, and said, it's San Antonio. I said, it's probably going to be pretty warm. So that, you know, plant the seed, that in other words, temperature is going to be okay. And then we start talking about travel, how long it's going to take to get there, and from here, it's at least 9 hours, I think, according to Google. And you know, then you factor in, you know, the all the rest of the hotel. Where's the hotel going to be at? Where they're located at in relationship to this one here being in San Antonio, be the Alamo Dome. And what are the ticket prices? And the ticket prices they're all over the map. They have some that are $14, and they got some that's well over $200. So I told her, I said, you know, it's more for the experience. I said, you know, just to enjoy the idea. And she got to looking online next day. In other words, had to plant the seed first. Because, you know, first, you know, no. But then she got thinking about it a little bit more, and she found we could drive to Oklahoma City and catch a train, to ride a train to San Antonio. In other words, make it a very interesting trip. And that the price of the ticket for the train ride was very reasonable if you looked at it right. I haven't looked it up myself, so it, anyway, something fun. You know, most of us, I don't know, depending on where you live, have you rode on a train before? In other words, this just might be the one time that we're going to make this one happen. Find a way to make it happen, in other words. It's kind of like shaving with one of these. Don't know how much longer a train's going to stick around. Be riding in history, I guess you might say. Not too sure exactly how the history of the train, how old it is or anything, but it'll be fun, it should be. Excuse me, in that, you know, having that experience. I don't know which one's going on a cruise, riding on a train, flying on a plane. I kind of lean more towards the train. Not that I haven't flown, and you fly, it's okay, yeah. How can you say it's for me, it's not that big of a deal flying, but as it goes for the cruise, maybe it could be. But last time I was on, let's say, a boat or a ship, anything of size, is when I was in New York, and I caught the whatever you want to call it, boat or whatever, that went over to take you over to the Statue of Liberty. I was sicker than a dog. I got sick. Boy, howdy, was I miserable. So, yeah, that already kind of, me going on a cruise, I was already like, no. Was I sick? I did not do well. Did not think that I would have an issue, thought nothing of it, you know. At the point in time I was in training when I was in the Army. I was in New Jersey, so a group of us decided to go to see the Statue of Liberty and ride the boat over, and oh man, was I miserable. Train works out better for me, I think. Guess a little bit of history on this shaver, if I got things straight in my head. Okay, well, most of us already know that Eveready started out before it actually became a part of American Safety Razor and ASR. And ASR, I guess when Jim, Eveready, and Star became part of the American Safety Razor, I think that all took place in 1919. Yeah, get my numbers straight here. So all that took place in 1919. And it may be kind of hard to see, but it says press here. In other words, to get this open. And at any rate, so even though on the back side of this shaver, when I showed you earlier, has a patent date of March the 24th of 1914, here's what the blade looks like, what I was talking about. It has notches, but they're way up there. But those hooks right there line perfectly up with a Jim blade that has those notches there. So you might want to try a blade like this. At any rate, the may have to, wipe some of that soap off there. So on the inside of this particular shaver, even though we have a patent date of 1914, on the inside of this it says American Safety Razor. Well, in order for that to take place, that took place in 1919. So to help place when this particular shaver was actually made, since it's got this stamped on the inside, we know that it wasn't made in 1914, because of the patent date, but perhaps at least 1919, if not later. Just thought I'd point something like that out. So if you're hunting for these kind of shavers, and if you can find one that has something stamped different on the inside, then you know you got one older than 1919. So with this coming up in a catalog of 1925, we know that these shavers were made over a span of time and was still being offered. So how old this particular shaver is, it's kind of hard to put an actual, pinpoint it. In other words, I think there might be a span that somebody might be able to figure out that these were made in. But at any rate, that's just something I thought was pretty interesting. It took a moment to put things together, and I was reading on, if I remember right, it was one of the fuzzy toast. Hey, original safety. Yeah, I went ahead and decided to get into a forum, and I did some reading in there, and if I remember right, that's where it came from, some of that information. Face feels good this morning. Alan Block had very little to say this morning, even though the feedback, I could feel a little tugginess, but no nicks, cuts, weepers, nothing that you couldn't see. Alan Block's doing well. Cooling effect right now on the face. This is good stuff. Sure, I'm glad I got it. To me, this, I only have one more shaver like this, and I've got it packed away. And this shaver here has always interested me with the fact that it tells you to press here or lift here in order to get it to open. Thought that was a pretty interesting thought. As for some to try to get it open, because the later versions of this one here, I guess you might say, I think they're referred to as shovel head, where the pivot points up to the front, so the cap flips forward. Got one of those too. Like I said, this is a pretty good buy. I could not you might get close if you find on sale Prasso. Sometimes you can get their aftershave lotion, I think, on sale around the $12 mark, and then if you can catch their tub of soap, Grow, $4.99. Sometimes I've seen it cheaper than that. In other words, get it under the $20 mark. In other words, there's just not very many that where you can get the aftershave and soap, for under $20. That's a very nice value, especially for somebody that's trying to keep it on a tight budget. Name of this one here is Moxie. This is it's a good day for that name. I saved it for that. The other one was Game. I already used that one, but I thought maybe Moxie would be a good one to use for a day like today. Super Bowl and whatnot. Had a lot of fun working this one up. Kind of prepped yesterday, shaving with it, getting everything lined out in my head about this shaver, because it'd been a while since I shaved with it. But boy, this is this can be a bit of an aggressive shaver if you get your angle off. Something to take note of. Alright, hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe and smooth shaves to you.